Aloha Mai Kako, a Komomati Curtain Call, a weekly program of reviews, previews, interviews, and features of and or with the great art and artists on Maui and beyond. I'm Paul James Brown. The latest exhibit at the Schaefer International Gallery of the Maui Arts and Cultural Center, entitled Max Ernst, Surreal Mindscapes and Characters, gives new meaning to the international in the gallery's moniker. This is a world-class show in every way and deserves not just the patronage of Mauians, but this should be a required stop for our visitors and a magnet for the art world in general. Max Ernst was one of the most important visual artists of the 20th century. He was born April 2, 1891 in Germany and passed on April 1, 1976 in Paris, the day before his 86th birthday. He, along with Picasso, Dali, and Duchamp, redefined visual art for all time. He was intimately involved with the Dada Surrealist period in the 20s and in the development of abstract expressionism. His first exhibition was in 1912, and his final work was done in 1974. He was a painter, sculptor, printmaker, graphic artist, and poet. His work is in every major museum in the world. In 2005, the Metropolitan Museum of Art had a major retrospective of his works. About that exhibit, the New York Times said, quote, "Future historians may ponder the nihilism that drove 20th century avant-garde artists to blow up the foundations of Western art. The Cubist decomposed form, the Abstractionists pulverized it, and the Surrealists destroyed visual logic. Among these, Max Ernst represented the most formidable force of subversion that ever swept across the West," unquote. And now, thanks to his grandson, Eric Ernst, who happens to be a Maui resident, along with the vision and talents of gallery director Jonathan Yukio Clark and exhibits coordinator Peter Holland, we are blessed with this breathtaking exhibition. This exhibit spans more than 4 decades of Ernst's artistic life, from 1926 to 1967. Ernst developed the frottage technique. This involves laying paper over a textured material and burnishing it with a pencil or a crayon. Then he added his own marks, creating a cavalcade of surreal, absurd images and creatures. Here is a taste. He entitled this Histoire Naturelle, and what we see here are 1926 collotype prints of the original 1925 rubbings. If you Google Histoire Naturelle, the Metropolitan Museum of Art website collection comes up, and you will see many of these same prints there. After spending time with Alberto Giacometti in 1934, Ernst began to sculpt. About sculpting, Max Ernst said, "Whenever I reach an impasse in my painting, which happens time and time again, sculpture always offers me a way out." The earliest bronze sculptures in the exhibit are on the large platform as one enters the gallery. This is Oedipe II, done in 1934. It features the bird-like alter ego of the artist Lop Lop that appears throughout his career. Created in 1934-35, La Belle Allemande, the beautiful German, introduces one of his signatures, the circle for the head. This can be seen in La Plus Belle, his 1967 homage to his fourth and final wife, the celebrated Surrealist artist Dorothea Tanning. This is a bronze. The limestone version of this work had never been seen in America until 2015, when the Casman Gallery in New York City mounted the first solo exhibit of Mr. Ernst's sculpture in the U.S. since 1993, according to the New York Times. And the small gallery awaits a real treat. Here are the actual cinder blocks with the concrete masks created by Mr. Ernst. He and Dorothea Tanning moved to Sedona, Arizona in 1943 and remained at Capricorn Hill, the name Ms. Tanning gave to the house for what reason she knew not. According to visitsedona.com, quote, "The presence of Ernst and Tanning marked the beginning of Sedona's rise as an artistic center. Capricorn Hill played host to a stream of renowned visitors from the art world, including Henri Cartier-Bresson, Lee Miller, Man Ray, Marcel Duchamp, William Copley, Kay Sage, Yves Tanguy, Roland Penrose, and Dylan Thomas, to name a few," unquote. The viewer will see photos from a 1952 issue of Life magazine with the very cinder block sculptures in this show. These were removed in the mid-60s, but the home still stands and can be visited by appointment only. On the wall of the gallery is this wood-carved chess set, which he made for an exhibition at Julian Levy's New York gallery entitled The Imagery of Chess in 1944. This exhibit included such luminaries as Alexander Calder, Marcel Duchamp, Isamu Noguchi, and Ms. Tanning, among others. There is a marvelous photo of Mr. Ernst and Ms. Tanning playing with this very set. There are only 3 of these in existence. The main gallery has 3 of Mr. Ernst's monumental bronzes. Entitled Teaching Staff for a School of Murderers, we see Big Brother, who is watching as he did in George Orwell's prescient book 1984. His eyes are shaded by the helmet he wears, and he is at once threatening and discomforting. He is flanked by a Seraphine La Neophyte, and across from this one is Seraphine Cherubin. While Seraphine Cherubin has eyes, the Neophyte doesn't. This neophyte seems to be in a more relaxed posture, but the Seraphine Cherubin is more contorted and sports a goofy look, whereas the neophyte has a more straight face. Although both have protruding tongues, this is a work that was seen at the show of the same title at the Casman Gallery in New York City in 2017. The titles of these 2 are rather disconcerting because seraphim and cherubim are plurals. They refer to a host of angels. Here we see only one of each angel. On the walls of the gallery are the tapestries of the famed weaver Yvette Coquille-Prince, who worked with Mr. Ernst for a decade in the 70s after Marc Chagall's wife became jealous of their relationship and banned her from seeing him. She also worked with Pablo Picasso, Vasily Kandinsky, Alexander Calder, and Paul Klee, among others. Here we have her interpretations of paintings by Mr. Ernst. She magnified his paintings to monumental scale. These tapestries are paintings done by Mr. Ernst in the late 30s and 40s. This is La Joie de Vivre, the joy of life, from Mr. Ernst's jungle paintings done in the late 30s. He populated his work with both real and fantastic creatures. This is L'Œil de Silence, the Eye of Silence, from a 43 by 56-inch work now owned by Mildred Lane Kemper Museum in St. Louis, to the wall covering we see here. Richard Schiff, in Expressions Naturelles Personal Pictorial, a companion to art theory, said about this painting, quote, "To underscore this perceptual experience of change, instability, and hybridity, Ernst experimented with the technique of decalcomania, replacing the usual modernist and individualistic artistic mark-making. Decalcomania, by contrast, relies on chance and pre-existing visual forms. Developed by Ernst and Hans Belmer in the concentration camp at Les Milles in the south of France in 1938-39, decalcomania encompasses the process of pressing thin paint with the help of an object, such as a flat piece of cardboard, onto the canvas. The uneven amounts of paint generate shapes that bear a resemblance to stalactites and stalagmites. In paintings such as The Eye of Silence, Ernst also imitated the results of decalcomania through painterly means," unquote. Here is a cocktail drinker, an oil-on-board rendering of a larger work created in the 40s and here recreated by Ms. Coquille-Prince in the 70s. There is so much for the viewer to digest in this exhibit, which taxes a reviewer's vocabulary for accolades equal to its quality and excellence. Suffice to say, even Maui's sophisticated aesthetic cognoscenti will be bowled over by it, and everyone who sees it will mark it as one of the great artistic experiences. On May 30th from 5 to 9 p.m. in the Gallery and Yokauchi Pavilion and Courtyard, there is a new event, Activations. It will feature an evening of activations unfolding in the gallery space with live dance, movement, and music performances that engage in dialogue with the exhibition. Food and beverage offerings will be available for purchase during the event. Max Ernst's Surreal Mindscapes and Characters at the Schaefer International Gallery continues until June 1st and is open Tuesday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and until 7:30 p.m. for select Castle Theater and Yokauchi Pavilion events. The gallery will be closed the following days, April 19th, April 27th, May 10th through 11th, and May 18th. Mark your calendars accordingly. You do not want to miss this show. Well, that's Curtain Call for this week. Mahalo for tuning in. I'm Paul James Brown. Maui strong. Ahui ho.